My dear seekers of truth, what I am about to reveal will challenge everything you thought you knew about the scriptures and the universe itself. What if I told you that one of the most enigmatic prophets of the Bible, Ezekiel, not only foresaw the future, but also documented an encounter with beings from another world? That his famous visions of wheels within wheels and glowing creatures were not celestial metaphors, but precise descriptions of advanced technology and extraterrestrial visitors. Today, my friends, we will delve into one of the most intriguing and controversial biblical mysteries of all time. Prepare to question everything you thought you knew about Ezekiel, the heavens, and our place in the cosmos. Are you ready to uncover the hidden truths in the sacred pages? To see beyond the veil that has covered our eyes for millennia? Join me on this fascinating journey as we untangle the prophecies of Ezekiel and ponder whether he was indeed a prophet or perhaps the first contactee in history. To comprehend the magnitude of what we are about to explore, we must immerse ourselves in the historical and spiritual context of Ezekiel. This enigmatic prophet lived during a time of great turmoil for the Jewish people. Around the 6th century BC, Ezekiel was a priest taken into exile in Babylon, far from his beloved Jerusalem. It was under these conditions of displacement and crisis that he experienced his famous visions. Traditional narratives have taught us to interpret these visions as divine revelations, coded messages from God to his people. However, my dear truth seekers, what if there were another explanation? One that challenges not only our understanding of the Bible, but also the history of humanity itself. In the first chapter of the book of Ezekiel, the prophet describes an extraordinary encounter. He speaks of a great glowing cloud from which 4 beings with human-like appearances but astonishing characteristics emerge. These beings were accompanied by what Ezekiel describes as wheels within wheels, objects moving in ways that defied the physics known at his time. For centuries, theologians and scholars have interpreted these descriptions as symbolic representations of God's glory. But my friends, what if we read them with a different perspective? What if instead of spiritual metaphors, Ezekiel was describing, with the limited vocabulary of his time, an encounter with advanced technology and beings from another world? Think about it. Wheels within wheels moving in all directions without turning. Glowing beings appearing and disappearing. A great bright cloud descending from the sky. Doesn't this remind you of modern reports of UFO sightings and close encounters? This theory, though controversial, is not new. Authors like Erich von Däniken and Zecharia Sitchin have proposed similar interpretations. However, what we will explore today goes beyond that. We will examine point by point Ezekiel's descriptions and compare them with contemporary testimonies of extraterrestrial encounters. But before diving into the fascinating details of this theory, let me ask you a question. Are you ready to question not only your interpretation of the Bible, but also your understanding of our place in the universe? Because, my dear seekers of truth, what we are about to reveal could forever change the way we view our history, our spirituality, and our future. Now, my esteemed truth seekers, let us delve into the heart of this fascinating theory. Let's meticulously examine Ezekiel's descriptions and how they might be interpreted as encounters with extraterrestrial technology and beings from other worlds. Let's start with Ezekiel 1:4, where the prophet says, "And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind was coming out of the north, a great cloud with raging fire engulfing itself, and brightness was all around it." This description, read with a modern perspective, strikingly resembles reports of UFO sightings. The great cloud could be the spacecraft itself, while the engulfing fire and brightness could be the result of its advanced propulsion system. But the most striking revelation follows. Ezekiel describes 4 living beings emerging from this cloud. He says in verse 5, "And from within it came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man." Isn't it fascinating that Ezekiel uses the phrase likeness of man? This suggests that these beings resembled humans, but were not exactly like us. Let us delve even deeper. In verses 6 and 7, Ezekiel provides a detailed description of these beings. Each one had 4 faces and 4 wings, and their feet were straight, and the soles of their feet were like the soles of a calf's foot, and they shone like polished bronze. This description, though strange to us, could be Ezekiel's attempt to describe advanced spacesuits. The 4 faces could be different lenses or sensors on a helmet, while the wings might be some form of personal propulsion device. But the most compelling evidence of advanced technology comes in the description of the wheels. Ezekiel 1:16-17 states, "The appearance of the wheels and their work was like the color of beryl, and all 4 had the same likeness. Their appearance and their work was, as it were, a wheel in the middle of a wheel. When they moved, they went toward any one of 4 directions. They did not turn aside when they went." Oh, my dear truth seekers, doesn't this seem like a description of a vehicle with movement capabilities that defy our current understanding of physics? The phrase, "wheel in the middle of a wheel," could refer to a complex rotational mechanism, perhaps a propulsion system based on gravitational or electromagnetic fields. The ability to move in all directions without turning is a commonly reported feature in modern UFO sightings. But there's more. Ezekiel 1:13 mentions, "As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, like the appearance of torches going back and forth among the living creatures. The fire was bright, and out of the fire went lightning." This description of intense light and lightning could be an interpretation of advanced lighting technology or even energy weapons. Now, consider Ezekiel's famous abduction. In Ezekiel 3:12-14, the prophet describes how he was lifted and taken to another place. He says, "Then the Spirit lifted me up, and I heard behind me a great thunderous voice. The Spirit lifted me up and took me away." Could this be a description of an extraterrestrial abduction? The sensation of being lifted, the intense sound, the disorientation. These are all common elements in modern abduction reports. But perhaps the most astonishing evidence comes from Ezekiel 1:22, where he describes what he sees above the heads of the beings. The likeness of the firmament above the heads of the living creatures was like the color of an awesome crystal stretched out over their heads. Could this be a description of a transparent dome of a spacecraft? My dear truth seekers, the similarities between Ezekiel's visions and modern reports of extraterrestrial encounters are too numerous and specific to be mere coincidences. Is it possible that Ezekiel, a man of his time, simply lacked the vocabulary and frame of reference to adequately describe what he was witnessing? But don't just take my word for it. I encourage you to examine these passages for yourselves and compare them with modern literature on UFOs and extraterrestrial encounters. For truth, my friends, often hides in plain sight, waiting for us to have the courage and perspective to recognize it. But, my dear seekers of truth, what we have unraveled so far is just the tip of the cosmic iceberg. Ezekiel's visions have opened a door to a universe of possibilities that challenge our conventional understanding of reality and history. Consider for a moment, if Ezekiel truly had an encounter with extraterrestrial beings, what other biblical stories might be reinterpreted in this new light? Could the Star of Bethlehem that guided the wise men have been a spacecraft? Was the chariot of fire that took Elijah up to heaven actually an alien abduction? And beyond the Bible, what about other ancient cultures? The Egyptian hieroglyphs that seem to depict helicopters and planes, the Nazca lines in Peru visible only from the air, the incredibly precise megalithic constructions like the pyramids. Could all these wonders be evidence of extraterrestrial intervention in antiquity? But there is an even more unsettling question we must consider. If these beings have been visiting us since biblical times, why? What is their purpose? And more importantly, are they still among us? The rabbit hole is deep, my friends, and we are only beginning our descent. Brace yourselves, because what we are about to explore could forever change your perception of reality, history, and our place in the cosmos. But before we plunge deeper into this cosmic mystery, let us pause briefly. Take a moment to process what we have discussed so far. Reflect on the implications of these revelations and prepare yourselves, because what comes next will further challenge the boundaries of your imagination and faith. My dear seekers of truth, before we continue with our revelations, I want to thank you for joining me on this fascinating journey. Your comments and theories in our previous videos have been a constant source of inspiration and have greatly contributed to our collective quest for truth. If you are not yet part of our community of researchers, I invite you to join. Press that subscription button and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future revelations about biblical mysteries and the conspiracies that have shaped our history. Now, I have a question for you. What other biblical stories do you think could have an extraterrestrial explanation? Share your theories in the comments. The most intriguing ideas might become the topic of our next video. And for those eager for more, I have a surprise. In our next episode, we will explore the controversial theory that the Ark of the Covenant was actually an extraterrestrial communication device, alien technology at the heart of ancient Judaism. You won't want to miss it. Now let's prepare to dive even deeper into the mystery of Ezekiel and the cosmic implications of his visions. The truth is out there, and together we will discover it. Now, my esteemed seekers of truth, let us delve even further into Ezekiel's visions and explore how they could be interpreted not only as encounters with extraterrestrial beings, but also as evidence of interdimensional travel. In Ezekiel 3:12-14, the prophet describes an extraordinary experience. Then the Spirit lifted me up, and I heard behind me a loud, thunderous voice saying, "Blessed is the glory of the Lord from his place." I also heard the sound of the wings of the living creatures as they touched one another, and the sound of the wheels beside them, and a loud, thunderous sound. The Spirit then lifted me up and took me, and I went in bitterness, in the anger of my spirit. But the hand of the Lord was strong upon me. This description, my dear friends, surprisingly resembles modern reports of abduction experiences. The loud, thunderous sound, the sensation of being lifted, and even the bitterness and indignation Ezekiel describes are common elements in the testimonies of people claiming to have been abducted by extraterrestrials. But let us go further. What if Ezekiel's experience was not merely a physical journey, but a journey across dimensions? Modern quantum physics has taught us that the universe is far more complex than we perceive with our limited senses. Serious scientific theories postulate the existence of multiple dimensions beyond the 3 spatial and 1 temporal that we know. Let's consider Ezekiel 8:3. He stretched out the form of a hand and took me by a lock of my hair, and the Spirit lifted me between earth and heaven and brought me in visions of God to Jerusalem, to the door of the north gate of the inner court, where the seat of the image of jealousy, which provokes jealousy, was. This description of being lifted between earth and heaven and instantly transported to Jerusalem could be interpreted as interdimensional travel. The technology required for such a feat is beyond our current understanding, but not necessarily beyond the capabilities of an advanced extraterrestrial civilization. Now let's take a closer look at Ezekiel's description of the throne he sees in his vision. In Ezekiel 1:26-28 he says, "Above the expanse over their heads was what looked like a throne of sapphire, and high above on the throne was a figure like that of a man. I saw that from what appeared to be his waist up, he looked like glowing metal, as if full of fire, and that from there down he looked like fire, and brilliant light surrounded him. Like the appearance of a rainbow in the clouds on a rainy day, so was the radiance around him." This description, though cloaked in mystical language, could be interpreted as the control cabin of an advanced spaceship. The sapphire stone throne might be a control seat made of a material unknown to Ezekiel. The man-like figure could be the alien pilot, and the glowing metal and fire with surrounding radiance might be Ezekiel's attempt to describe holographic screens and energy-based control systems. But there is more. In Ezekiel 10:9-11, the prophet offers an even more detailed description of the wheels. "I looked, and I saw beside the cherubim 4 wheels, one beside each of the cherubim. The wheels sparkled like topaz. Regarding their appearance, the 4 had one likeness, as if one was within another. When they moved, they went in any of the 4 directions without turning as they went, but to the place where the front one faced. The others followed, not turning as they went. This description of wheels able to move in any direction without turning strikingly resembles modern reports of UFOs. Moreover, the concept of one wheel within another could be interpreted as a propulsion system based on gravitational or electromagnetic fields, something beyond our current technology, but possibly common to an advanced extraterrestrial civilization. My dear seekers of truth, these interpretations may seem radical, even heretical to some, but I ask you to consider the possibility that our ancestors, faced with technology beyond their understanding, resorted to mystical and religious explanations. Is it not possible that, in his attempt to make sense of the inexplicable, Ezekiel interpreted an encounter with extraterrestrial beings and advanced technology as a divine vision? This perspective does not necessarily negate spirituality or divinity. On the contrary, it expands our understanding of the cosmos and our place within it. After all, if there are beings capable of such technology, doesn't that broaden our conception of the divine rather than limit it? I urge you to reflect on these ideas, to question what you thought you knew. Because the truth, my friends, is often stranger and more wonderful than we can imagine. My dear seekers of truth, we have reached a crucial point in our exploration. The revelations we have unraveled not only challenge our understanding of the Bible and history, but also compel us to reconsider our conception of the universe and our place in it. If we accept the possibility that Ezekiel's visions were indeed encounters with extraterrestrial beings and advanced technology, we must ask ourselves, how does this change our perspective on spirituality and religion? Firstly, this interpretation does not necessarily deny the existence of the divine. Instead, it broadens our conception of what could be divine. If there exist beings capable of traveling among the stars, moving through dimensions, wouldn't their capabilities be indistinguishable from what we have traditionally regarded as miracles? As writer Arthur C. Clarke once said, "Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic." Let's ponder the philosophical and theological implications of this idea. If our species has been visited and possibly guided by advanced extraterrestrial beings, how does this affect our understanding of our cosmic purpose? Could it be that instead of being the final creation of an omnipotent God, we are part of a larger cosmic experiment? Or maybe we are a developing species, being observed and occasionally guided by more advanced civilizations? Let's also consider how this perspective could unify science and spirituality. For centuries, these two ways of understanding the world have been in conflict. But if ancient religious visions were actually descriptions of advanced technology and extraterrestrial beings, wouldn't this suggest that science and spirituality are simply different ways of describing the same cosmic reality? Additionally, this interpretation of Ezekiel's visions invites us to reconsider our understanding of time and history. If advanced beings have been interacting with our species since ancient times, how has this influenced our development? Could the great leaps in human civilization, agriculture, writing, advanced mathematics, have been the result of extraterrestrial intervention? And perhaps most importantly, how does this perspective change our vision of the future? If we are not alone in the universe, if civilizations exist capable of feats that seem miraculous to us, doesn't this enormously expand the possibilities for our own future? Doesn't it challenge us to look beyond our current limitations and imagine a truly cosmic destiny for our species? My dear seekers of truth, these questions may seem overwhelming, even unsettling. They challenge the very foundations of our beliefs and understanding of the world. But I urge you not to shy away from these ideas out of fear or discomfort. Instead, embrace them as an opportunity to expand your minds and spirits. Because in the end, isn't that the true essence of spirituality and the pursuit of knowledge? Isn't it about being open to new possibilities, questioning what we believe we know, seeking a deeper understanding of our place in the cosmos? Ezekiel's visions, viewed through this lens, do not diminish the divine. On the contrary, they expand our conception of what the divine could be, inviting us to contemplate a universe more vast, more mysterious, and more wonderful than we ever imagined. My dear seekers of truth, now that we have explored these revolutionary ideas, it is time to reflect on how they can impact our personal lives and our understanding of the world. First, consider how this perspective can change our view of everyday life. If advanced beings have been observing and interacting with us for millennia, doesn't this compel us to live with a heightened awareness? Every action we take, every decision we make, could be contributing to a grand cosmic experiment or influencing how these entities perceive us. Second, this interpretation of Ezekiel's visions invites us to be more open and tolerant of ideas that may initially seem strange or impossible. If biblical descriptions of angels and chariots of fire could actually be encounters with extraterrestrial beings, what other inexplicable phenomena in our life might have explanations we do not yet comprehend? Third, this perspective challenges us to expand our conception of what is possible. If there are civilizations capable of traveling among stars and dimensions, doesn't this motivate us to dream bigger, to aspire to achievements that currently seem impossible? I propose a personal reflection exercise. 1. Think of a moment in your life when you experienced something you couldn't explain. In light of what we've discussed, how might you reinterpret that experience? Consider how your perspective on life would change if you knew with certainty that we are not alone in the universe. How would this affect your daily decisions, your relationships, your aspirations? Reflect on how this interpretation of Ezekiel's visions could influence your understanding of spirituality or religion. Does it open new possibilities for connection with the divine or the cosmic? Remember, my dear friends, that the true power of these ideas lies not only in their ability to explain ancient events, but in their potential to transform our understanding of the present and our vision for the future. I invite you to carry these reflections with you in the coming days. Observe the world around you with new eyes, open to the possibility that there is more in this universe than we typically perceive. Who knows? You may have an encounter that challenges your understanding of reality. Because in the end, true transformation doesn't just happen in our minds, but in how we live our lives day by day, aware of the infinite possibilities surrounding us. My dear seekers of truth, we have reached the end of this fascinating journey through Ezekiel's visions and their possible connections to extraterrestrial beings. But remember, this is not the end of our quest, only the beginning. I invite you to continue this exploration with me. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and activate notifications to not miss our upcoming videos. Together, we will keep unearthing hidden truths and challenging the boundaries of our understanding of the universe. In our next episode, we will dive into the mysterious world of biblical codes and how they might contain encrypted messages from advanced civilizations. Are we on the cusp of deciphering a millennial cosmic message? You won't want to miss it. Share this video with those who you believe would be open to these revolutionary ideas. Remember, truth is strengthened when it is shared and debated. And for those who wish to delve even deeper, I invite you to visit our website, where you will find additional resources, detailed articles, and discussion forums to continue this conversation. My dear seekers of truth, keep your minds open and your eyes toward the stars, because the truth is out there, waiting to be discovered. And together, we will find it. Until our next meeting, may cosmic wisdom guide you.